Welcome to the Video School Online Podcast, where it's all about learning how to make better videos. And now, here's your host, Phil Ebner.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Phil Ebner back with the Video School Online Podcast. We're back with another interview with one of my filmmaker friends. Today we have Will Carnahan on. He's a cinematographer, fellow LMU alumni. We met working in the projection booth at LMU, and he's also a part-time podcaster with his own show, Below the Line. So we're happy to have him on, and we're going to be talking about all things video making. We're going to hear his story and hear how he got into filmmaking, what he's doing now since going to film school, and get some advice for him for you guys to help you guys make some better videos. So welcome to the show, Will.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
It's good. Yeah, it's great to have you. I'm lucky to have a bunch of filmmaker friends having been to film school, so that's great.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what film school did the most for me, was making them my network, right?
Right, exactly. So, as I mentioned, Will and I met in the projection booth, which was probably the coolest job on campus. By far, definitely. And so we had a lot of good times there. And we also learned a lot about filmmaking up there in the booth. And I was always inspired by Will for what he was doing. He was the first, I think one of the first students to really use the DSLR camera, making it was your senior thesis? Or junior thesis?
It was my
junior.
The first thing was my second year film, was the Nikon D90.
Oh yeah, because you were in grad school. So so he was like one of the first person using the DSLR. I feel like people were kind of like, oh, I don't know if it's gonna work or not, but it ended up working.
Everyone was confused. We ended up using it like more of like a cinema camera. I remember, because we like put the follow focus rings, and I don't know if you remember this, but like we did some tests in the projection booth, and it was during the advanced cinematography class when they were like comparing film to other stuff, and then I threw up the DSLR, and everyone was like, "Oh, what's that?" And I was like, "It's just a little DSLR, and it looked just like 16 millimeter."
Yeah.
Everyone was like blown away. I think you were there for that. That was probably the pivotal point when I was like, "All right, I'm using this camera. That's it."
Yeah, I remember people used to try to get like the old Canon lenses, and they would put it on like the whatever P2 or whatever we used back then, the HVX.
Just terrible cameras, GL2s.
Yeah, and then they came out with these DSLRs that shot video, and it just completely changed the ballgame. But anyways, let's get back to kind of our script, and I want to hear about how you got into filmmaking. What was that process, and your decision to go to film school? So how did you do that?
I guess I probably have to trace it back to when I was like a freshman in high school. I started taking photography in like my high school. I was lucky enough to take black and white photography. It was before there was really digital photography around, and I wanted to be a photographer. That was like end all be all. Like, I want to do photography. I want to be in the visual, compositional, making stories through photographs. And I think as the time went through high school, I learned black and white photography. I shot for the yearbook. I shot for the newspaper, all on film, completely on film. And like I had an old busted camera from like a thrift shop where the light meter broke. And like I say that now because this comes back later in my story of filmmaking. But I had to learn how to expose light because my light meter broke and I couldn't afford a nicer camera. And my photography teacher taught me all these rules and tricks of the trade to expose film, which was like really helpful for the time. And I think around my senior year of high school, digital cameras were coming out more, and I just decided to start filming my friends because I was like, it's like the same as photography compositionally, like you still kind of get that stuff. But because of iMovie, this is so hokey, but because of iMovie, I was able to like edit just my friends. Like, we were going away to college, and like I made like a 30-minute movie of just like us hanging out. Like, it was just total crap. Like, it's not interesting. Like, But at the same time, like, we loved it. We all sat and watched it. And, like, to this day, like, we still watch it. And that was, like, over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
and we watch it. It's just dumb. It's just dumb stuff. But like that was the root of my making film, was just recording us and like doing it in an interesting way and like having fun with that. And so when I was going to apply for college, I still was interested in photography, and I kind of thought filmmaking was cool. And I didn't want to be a lawyer, so I kind of just was going in that general communications area. So I applied to schools that had communication departments and film schools. I was a slacker in high school, so I didn't have the best grades. So that didn't permit me to go to like USC or NYU or anything like that. And I ended up going to UC Riverside for undergrad, mostly because they had what was called a film and visual culture department. And so it was both film and every other visual art. So, but the thing was, it was theory. It wasn't like production or anything like that. And I think having that basis was what I kind of craved, because I really had I knew I knew how to use film. Like I had the technical stuff down, but I didn't know the theory of making movies or making videos or any of that stuff. And I felt at the time like I need to watch old movies and figure out what that's about, and like, you know, and they had a hockey team, so I had to go do that.
Nice.
But so that was my decision, and then I ended up going to UC Riverside and majoring in film and visual culture. And it was literally based in all theory. I watched Citizen Kane, I watched, Casablanca, I watched old movies and analyzed them and looked at the shots and what they were trying to say. Like, things like low angles make people more powerful, high angles make people seem smaller, that type of tangible kind of thing. The right side of the screen is more powerful than the left side of the screen. So it was really analytical and really just like, what was the filmmaker trying to say in the way it was shot, as opposed to how to shoot this, like how to frame up, what a first AC was, what lens to use. We didn't talk about any of that crap. It was all completely how to shoot a film and how to say what you're trying to say. And I think that was important, because we weren't actually doing it. We were just studying, basically, like painters would study old paintings and stuff, and techniques that they were trying to be as artists. And I think as an undergrad, as a young student, you kind of need that basis before you get into the nitty-gritty of filmmaking.
So were a lot of those students in that program, did they have aspirations to become filmmakers, or did some of them just like the theory part of it?
I think it was actually kind of split into three different students, and I used to go over this all the time, but there was definitely a fraction of kids that they wanted to be directors, they wanted to make movies, they wanted to be the next Spielberg. There's another group of kids that they were into the theory, they just loved movies, and they had no idea what they wanted to do as adults, so they were like, I'm going to go study movies in college. And then there's just another fraction of I don't know what I want to do, but I know I love movies, and so it was kind of that mix of those three students, which was good because we all played off each other.
Yeah,
a lot.
Cool.
But I mean, in general, I really like the theory part of it. But I didn't get to make as many movies as I wanted to. I shot a lot of random videos and stuff that are floating around the internet still that aren't the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming from a photography background, it helped going into that, because it kind of helped me connect the two.
That's cool. That brings back memories of all the videos that I made in high school of my friends, and I made a documentary in high school that was 45 minutes long, and I swore it couldn't be shorter because I had to have everything in there. And now I look back and I'm like, I could have made that a 2-minute video.
You were 45 to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
The cool thing about that stuff was, I remember my senior year, I had a program. There's a program through the UC program called the UC-DC program, and where you go to DC and you're interested in politics or being a lawyer, and you can go and you live there and you study for a semester. And I had I didn't want to be in politics or anything like that, but I went to the program and I was like, I know my GPA sucks, but if you send me to DC and you let me intern at the American Film Institute in Maryland, I will make a 3 or 4 minute promotional video for you with my little crappy video camera and my knowledge. And they're like, all right, done, you're going.
Nice.
So knowing how to make a short 2-3 minute video was able to get me into this program. And they had no idea how to do any of that stuff, and they still use it to this day that I hear. It's on their website. I think you can see it at UCDC or UCR's UCDC page or whatever like that. But
nice.
Knowing how those little crappy videos is good.
It's a skill that a lot of people want, and video is more important now than ever. And every company, every school, every business wants, videos for their own website or social media platforms. So
It's really not that hard once you learn the tools. That's for sure.
yeah, definitely. So you got into film school, and then from UCR, you went to LMU, where
Right.
you started actually practicing the practice of film. What were some of the defining moments at LMU as studying film?
Well, I think for me, I didn't really know cinematic movie, like physical making. That's why I went to LMU grad school in the first place, was to learn the production side of it. I didn't actually know what a cinematographer was until like my senior year of college, which is kind of rare for a lot of film students.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and then I was like, okay, so that's what a cinematographer does. And so at LMU, the very first film I shot with my buddy Joe Toronto, we had to shoot on film, and that was like a requirement. And so he and I hit it off, and like we were good personalities together. But he also knew I knew how to expose film, but I knew how to expose a frame a second. It's not much different, 24 frames per second,
Yeah.
exposure wise. I just didn't know movement and composition, what I wanted to do, until I had a director tell me this is what I was going for, and it made things very simple. But the first film we shot, King of the Ring, which is a thumb wrestling movie, was a big pivotal role at LMU, because that showed everyone that I knew what I was doing, as well as Joe knew what he was doing, and people started to recognize me more as a cinematographer more than like any other position.
Yeah.
Which was good. It was good and bad, because I didn't really get to fill out all the other positions in film school.
Mm-hmm.
But I did shoot a lot of films, and because of that film, I also won a grant through Panavision, which is a huge camera company, and that got me a lot of recognition, not only in film school, but later on in life. I've been able to put that on my resume and tell people and whatnot. And then again, my third year, I shot two movies that were nominated for the same award through LMU, and I won again. So I didn't win my second year, I won my third year, and that camera package and notoriety between everyone was really helpful, I think, at film school. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
that would be the two pivotal moments, I think. That and like networking with everyone.
I didn't realize that the King of the Ring was your first actual film that you really shot.
King of the Ring was literally the very first film that not only I shot on film, but that I had a gaffer, an AC, like a grip unit. I had to I picked the lighting, like I did all that stuff. I definitely wouldn't have done as well as it did if it were not for my AC and my gaffer actually knowing what they were doing already.
Yeah.
They helped out a lot, but at the same time, I was able to really learn on that set how a set functions.
Mm-hmm.
And apply all my photography skills and all my filmmaking and theory skills all into one. And I took it really seriously because I'd never done it before. So it was really cool. It was a really cool experience.
Yeah, that's cool. And that brings up a point that I always talk about, and that's in film school is great to, be in class and to, be studying something that you want to study, but at the same time, I feel like most of the stuff that I learned was outside of the classroom, making films with friends for school projects or just outside of school. So do you have any words on that kind of idea?
I think that is absolutely totally true. That first film that I shot, being on set and learning it, and then going to the telecine and seeing what was exposed and what wasn't exposed correctly, the movements, not movements, I learned so much more in like 4 or 5 minutes on set lighting than I did in like a semester in film school.
Yeah.
Film school's great, and undergrad was great, learning all that stuff, but until you actually are like running film through a camera or pressing record and like putting it down in the editing bay and like moving stuff around, you won't know what to shoot or what not to shoot.
Yeah.
That was really like the best part of actually shooting stuff. And to this day, I think I just took a tour of the Warner Brothers lot with my buddy Ian, who works over there now. And I saw some of the sets, and I was looking at how they were lighting stuff, and I'm still like, just being on a set and seeing where they're putting lights and stuff, I learned more like just walking through like a set than I did in a normal school environment. So once you get out there, like you just start soaking up information as opposed to just reading about it.
Totally. And I feel like I sometimes fall into the trap of if I'm like researching a new camera lens I want or something like that, or researching like a new lighting technique, I spend like hours poring over the internet trying to find like the right way to do it. And I feel like a lot of people do that too, when the best thing is probably just to get outside, set up your camera and practice and make mistakes and then get better.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. Just shoot your cats, shoot your rabbits, like whatever you've got as far as like filmatic equipment, and then run it all the full gambit. Go from like shooting 2 or 3 different scenarios to editing it. Like if you don't edit it and see how it's going to fit all together, I mean, how else are you going to know? And you can rent cameras and lenses from pretty much anywhere. So
yeah, totally. Just get out there and do it.
I just got a GoPro 3 and I shot a snowboarding video.
I saw that. That was really good.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
It's on Vimeo, and like I didn't really know its capabilities until I went out there and just messed with it. And like there's a lot of like I think I shot probably an hour of footage, and that video is 60 seconds.
Yeah.
So a lot of just crap. Like it was just totally bad, and like you just have to sift through and find the cool stuff and make it look good and figure out what works and what doesn't work. And I'm really happy with the camera purchase now. So.
That's awesome. Yeah. We'll have I'll put links to all the videos and stuff we're talking about on the blog post when I release this, so all you guys listening can check that out. So you had never played with you'd play with a GoPro, but you never owned one before, or what?
I had a GoPro 2, but I just bought the 3 because I knew I would like it. But the thing about it is it's much smaller. It shoots at 2.7K, which is ridiculous, and I wasn't really sure how that was really gonna affect lighting and shadows and like what its dynamic range was and all that. And so before I took it on a job, which I just took it on this week, before I took it on a job, I needed to make sure that I could push it to its extreme before I just need to know like its limits before you actually take it on a job.
That's crazy. Yeah, I walked by it at Best Buy and I started drooling.
It's my baby now.
Nice. All right, so after film school, one of the biggest questions is how do you land those first jobs? And obviously you built up a great sort of community within the film school. You mentioned, you made your films and you got that great grant, and that kind of helped propel you in your career. What advice do you have for our listeners who either have gone to film school and are now looking to get a job, or just people who are getting into video making and are looking for places to start, looking for jobs?
I think that there's 2 big things that you have to do. Is one, the network. Like you need to have a network. You need to have friends that are making movies, and you need to help each other out. I think the biggest thing I did in my last year of film school as I was transitioning out was I literally shot as much as I humanly could do. Like I would sleep never and would just shoot as much as possible and always say yes. And for that last year and up until now, like even every so often now, I shoot things for free. Because you need the experience and you need the network and you need to practice and you need to make mistakes. And it feels a lot better to make a mistake on a free project than it does when the budget's over $200,000.
Yeah.
So you need to get your mistakes out, and you're going to make mistakes on either end, no matter what. But I say yes to a lot of things, and I just shoot as much as possible. I think my last year of film school, and even right after I graduated, I had like maybe 3 or 4 months of just every weekend I was on a different set and I wasn't getting paid. And I'd say it took me like a solid year, 2 years to really have a consistent amount of money. Mm-hmm. As a cinematographer, that's a DP. Like there are other positions I think are a little different, but it takes a while to get to that point. But you just have to keep working. And if you're not working, you're not making money, you might as well be shooting something for free. Because you're learning and you're helping your friends out too, and you're making your own network, and you guys are helping each other come up in the freelance world. But yeah, just shoot all the time, nonstop.
Yeah, no, that's awesome advice. And so you basically came out of film school and you knew you just wanted to be a cinematographer, so you wanted to do the freelance route. there was no kind of thought of getting any sort of other job. You just, you know.
Not necessarily. I mean, I came into grad school knowing I wanted to be a cinematographer.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely had those times throughout those 3 years where I wanted to direct, and then I was like, well, maybe producing might be kind of cool,
Mm-hmm.
and ACing and gaffing is also interesting. But I AC'd and gaffed, and I gripped out of film school, and I still do when I can for cheaper rates, which is fine because I'm working, and I'm learning a lot towards my craft. But when I left film school, I considered producing, and I had an internship with a production company.
Okay.
And so I kind of had thought, well, I don't know about this freelancing thing. It's really scary. It's really, really scary.
Mm-hmm.
I should look into just getting a job, and that's why I kind of went the producer route for a second. But I didn't like it. Like I actually hated it, and I hated everything about producing and casting and everything that had to go into it. And so I got lucky because my family lives in LA, and I'm able to bum off them and have free rent.
Yeah.
So it kind of sparked me and was able to allow me to, you know what, I'm just going to jump into this freelance thing and just suck it up and do it. And I'd say for a year, I was literally living paycheck to paycheck. I still have other bills. Like I would make it just enough to pay my bills, and luckily I didn't have rent, so I didn't have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
But it sucked. Like it was pretty bad. And it's always in the back of my head that I could lose a job or not have a job and not have money. But it's worth it to me because I can't see myself doing any other job. And I think after shooting for a while, going to work for this production company for like a few months and having a 9-to-5 job, it was killing my soul.
Yeah.
and I didn't like that feeling, and I can't ever imagine going back. And even now, I've directed a few things, and I've done editing where I've had to edit for a week and be in a 9-to-5 situation and sitting at a desk. And I hate it. Like it kills me. So that was really what nailed down that, like, I want to be a freelance cinematographer. I want to be outside. I want to be having my own schedule. I want to be shooting stuff. I want to be on set. I want to make my own schedule. Like those are things are like I need to have to make me a happier person.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm passionate about it. So I think if you can achieve that, there's no reason for you to be stuck in a cubicle at all. You just have to get past it. It's worth the worry. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, that's totally great. And I feel like that is something that even a lot of people I know from film school, kind of gave up their passion and are now in a 9-to-5 job. I mean, I'm personally in a 9-to-5 job, but luckily I like it.
Yeah.
But it's good to, I do, part of me is, thinks like, man, it'd be so cool to just be out shooting all day and making my own projects. But I think just bringing back what you mentioned earlier about just shoot. If you love it and you want to be a cinematographer, or whatever, that's what you're gonna do. If you want to be an editor, you're just gonna find projects to edit your own stuff, edit your friends' projects for free, and then with that, like we keep saying, you're gonna build a community, and now you have kind of a healthy community of former LMU alumni, people that you've worked on sets with, that know who you are, that know your work, and it seems like now you're doing pretty good, and you have a lot of jobs coming up, and that brings me up to the next topic: is what are some of these jobs what are you doing now, or what's in the future? Anything you could talk about?
Well, honestly, I have a story for you. I can tie in both those things, but right out of film school, I took a gig. It was through a teacher, and he wanted me to come be a camera operator for a conference. It was just this really boring job where I was sitting, and there's a guy walking back and forth on stage, and I literally just held the camera and went back and forth, literally for 5 hours each day, standing. So my feet were killing me. It was terrible, and all I had to do was follow the guy, and I was really far back and zooming in and out every so often because I'd get bored. And it was literally $75 for the day, and that included setup and breakdown for 3 days. $75 a day for 8 hours is awful, in my line of what I'm supposed to be doing. But I wasn't doing anything else, and I needed the work and I needed the money, so I was like, all right, whatever, I'll just go do it. I went and did it. as I was doing it, the DIT, or the downloading guy that was watching the monitors in another room, also went to LMU that I had never really met before. And he was an editor, and I kept running footage back and forth to him. And he was like, "Hey, you're doing a really good job following that guy around." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "No, like really, like you're anticipating his movement, and like you can see in front of him." And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess like it's not terribly hard." And we just kind of started talking, and he ended up checking out my reel, and we started carpooling together, and because we lived close by, and we lost contact after a little bit. But he started following me on Instagram and on Twitter and other things, and literally a year later, he had ended up getting an editor's job at Disney Interactive, and he worked for the online kind of division. I don't know if you've ever seen Darth Vader Go to Disneyland, but he edited that and was connected to that, and it turned out that their in-house DP was moving on to go shoot Star Trek behind the scenes for J.J. Abrams.
Nice.
So he kind of shot another project with them, which was 24 Hours at Disney. He only shot half of it. He shot the Disney World stuff, and then J.J. Abrams called him, and he was out. So they were looking for a DP, and because my buddy, he called me up, he's like, "Hey, I've been following you on Instagram. I see that you're still on set. You're still shooting. That's awesome. Most people aren't doing that. Would you be down to throw your name into a hat for these DP jobs? And do you have a reel together?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. Like, tell me what to do and where to go." And he's like, "All right." So he got my name in a hat. He got me an interview with the director and the producer. I went in and talked to them. They saw my reel, and they hired me. I mean, they hired me on to shoot Disney Interactive online YouTube content, which was pretty nice, pretty big. I got a bit more of a pay jump, which was really nice. And they're really awesome people, and they're really cool guys. And that was in, I think, November of 2011. And since then, it's been it's been just about a year and a few months. They haven't shot a project without me. I've shot every single one of their projects since then. And there's literally about one or two every 2 months. And, you know, we've shot stuff from like Cars Land. We went on a Disney cruise. We did some stuff for ESPN. Because Disney owns them too, but it's all YouTube content. But they own a Red Epic, and they have a studio, and they use lights, and all that stuff that I've been trained in film school prepared me to basically shoot these little videos that are getting, you know, almost 1 million hits every time, which is like really awesome to come up that way.
Yeah.
But if I didn't take that crappy job at a film school, I wouldn't have met the guy, and if I wasn't like a presence on social networking, he wouldn't have kept in contact, and that's just like the epitome. And now I'm working for Disney. Like, it blows my mind sometimes when I think about that stuff. Yesterday we flew to Vegas actually because we just did a web series through Disney that's going to come out in about a month. And we shot a little tidbit yesterday. But they flew me out to Vegas in the morning. We shot. Then they flew me back yesterday. So.
I saw your Facebook when I was like just looking up all your info earlier, and I was like, wait. Will's in Vegas? Did he forget about me?
No. It was literally for 12 hours.
That's crazy.
We went up there, an extreme wheelchair guy. So.
Nice. Oh, those guys are crazy. I've seen that before.
Yeah, he was awesome. He's doing backflips and all this crazy stuff. But but that's what I'm doing now. I'm shooting a lot of web content. I actually am still shooting every so often. I shot a big budget student film. A guy had a lot of money. Just big part for a student set, and it was all green screen, which I have some experience on.
Nice.
So I shot that, and then I'm doing just small projects with people I know. I also started directing a little bit, but very, very little. I'm not ready to move on and take that step in full directing big things like that, but I want to direct music videos. I've directed a couple music videos for some friends from LMU. I got more coming up in the next couple months. And also, I actually got a gig with Ghirardelli Chocolate, which is like a decent-sized company.
Yeah.
And I'm doing online internal stuff. So it's not stuff for the public, but they have like an award show, and they have a celebration. And so I do a lot of interviews and like little videos internally for them to show their company. But if it weren't for them knowing that I worked for Disney, I think they wouldn't have been comfortable hiring me.
Yeah.
Well, if Disney can trust you, I think we'll bring you on, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm flying up to San Francisco this week to go do some more interviews with them, and so it's just snowballs, and then it's like feast or famine kind of thing, because sometimes we won't have projects going, but you just kind of like got to feel it out and shoot your own stuff. And I mean, that's a lot of the stuff I'm doing right now. Hopefully my reel will come together
Yeah.
in the next few weeks. I've been working on it now. It's still up in the air and trying to finish a new one, because the one that's up now is about a year out of date.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just watched it earlier.
Yeah, from now, that song is so annoying. From now until I figure that out, hopefully I'm kind of focusing on maybe getting an agent, an below the line agent, and trying to shoot more commercials and stuff like that. So I just need to get my reel together, which it's tough to get a reel together when you're shooting all the time. Which isn't a problem, but at the same time, I need to get on that.
That's crazy. Well, that's a great story about how doing one thing can lead to, even bigger things.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of similar to how I got my first couple jobs, because I got my internship at Participant Media in Beverly Hills my senior year. And really the reason that I got the internship was the guy called me, whoever was the head of the video online for their website, takepart.com, their video stuff. And he was like, hey, I saw this video on Vimeo. It was called like Bobcat. And I was like, I made this like 30-second video about my friend from college. And I just like threw together some text, and it was like super like stupid, and he saw it and he was like, that was cool. And from that, I got my job there. Or my internship there. I got my first job out of college there, so I worked there for like 7-8 months. And then from there, someone saw my work. From there, I got hired to do graphics for like motion graphics for a feature-length documentary, which ended up falling through. I did a bunch of work, and then like their funders pulled, which kind of sucked, because I would have loved to see that get through. But it's just same thing. It's like, you do one thing and it kind of snowballs, and it seems to happen like that.
Which is good. Participant was big though, right? Didn't Participant have stuff to do with Lincoln too?
Yeah, they were. They helped back like the actual production of that. And I think they have up for Oscars this year. They have it's a foreign film. So yeah.
Good name to have on your resume for having a little video that you did to pop you up there.
Definitely. All right, so we're getting, I think, past our 30 minutes or so, but I want to talk about, first, is there anywhere, what's the best place for our listeners to see your stuff or to connect with you?
If you want to, my hub basically is my website, which is williamcarnahan.com.
Okay.
I'm on everything I do pretty much feeds through Twitter too, and that's just at William Carnahan.
Okay.
And then my Instagram is probably what I'm most active on. You can see where I'm at, what I'm doing, and that's again at William Carnahan. Kind of branded myself. I don't know if you could tell.
That's great. It's good that you have a semi-unique name that you can get all those profiles for.
And Vimeo is the same thing, William Carnahan. A lot of my personal videos that I do are going to be on Vimeo, and that's probably a good place to check out.
Cool.
And obviously on IMDb too, you can look me up. I think I'm under Will Carnahan or William Carnahan or something like that.
Great. We'll have all those links on the blog post.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So lastly, the thing I always do with my guests is kind of ask them, what is one piece of advice, tangible piece of advice that our listeners can take with them to make better videos?
I think personally it's composition, and composition in a way that you don't look at normally. Most people are prone to just putting their camera up at their eyes. But if you think about it, most human beings are used to looking at things at this height and at this level all the time. So change it, make it different, because then it will be interesting. If you put the camera on the floor, if you put it against the wall in the corner tilted, if you put it sideways, if you put it at a different angle than up here where your eyes are, people will find that more interesting, because they're not used to looking down here or like up here, or seeing people, framed like differently like that, because and it'll create like a magic. It'll create a magic that people aren't used to seeing. And I think recent movies that have done that, the guys that do King's Speech and the guys that did Les Mis, their composition and their framing are just insane, and they're abnormal. They're totally different, and it may seem unnormal, but it adds this magic that cinema and videos, like that's what they are. They're magic.
Totally.
So,
That's awesome. And I noticed in Les Mis, like I watched it and I was thinking about the cinematography the whole time because it's like this is so different than
so
normal. And watching it, I wasn't like like thinking too hard, like thinking, oh, why is this different? But just like it was different and it was beautiful.
you watch, think about that and watch the King's Speech. Like,
Yeah.
the framing is insane. And I know LMU probably would get down on me for this because, like, there's a certain school of thought where it's lighting versus composition.
Yeah.
I feel like if a movie has really bad composition but amazing lighting, you're not going to enjoy watching it as much as if a movie had amazing composition and bad lighting.
Yeah.
Because the composition is really everything. Because you don't really need lighting. You just need to be able to see something for the most part. Lighting's just like the salt and pepper and the spice of it, really. So composition is big, and just make it interesting, really. Because I don't know, you don't want to be watching the same old thing all the time.
Cool. Totally. I totally agree. We could do a complete another podcast on just your cinematography tips.
Oh man, I actually teach a class in Torrance, Paul's Photo, about that.
Nice.
So yeah.
Cool. Well, maybe we'll do it in the future.
Yeah, sure.
But Will, thank you for being on the show. I'm sure all of our guests appreciated it. So everyone listening, check out the blog and website at www.videoschoolonline.com. We got all the podcasts, all the latest blogs, and if you are interested in any of the courses that I teach on video editing, from editing green screen to kinetic typography, check it out. So Will, thank you very much, and everyone else, we'll see you next time.